Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Embry. I am the brand ambassador here at Travel Media Group. Want to first thank everyone for taking the time to join me on this webinar this afternoon. Very excited to share this presentation with you all. Now, at the end of this webinar, we'll be providing my direct contact information in case you had any follow-up questions with the content that I'm going to be sharing today. But you can also use the chat feature, which is located in your toolbar, to type any sort of questions or feedback. I will be responding to those questions personally following the conclusion of the presentation. Also, be on the lookout since today's webinar will feature several interactive polls and would absolutely love your participation in them. So let's go ahead and get started fine-tuning your hotel's unique online voice. And to illustrate the power of a hotel's voice and tone and the effect that it can have, I want you to imagine the following scene. You're on a business trip in an unfamiliar town. Your company has put you up in a local independent hotel that you've never heard of or been to before. Now, as you arrive, you're pleasantly surprised as the lobby looks nice and the front desk agent behind the counter is wearing what looks to be like a very expensive suit. As you approach, you're greeted by this sharply dressed agent by saying, "What's up? This is the Hotel Independent. You staying here tonight?" Now imagine the same scenario, but this time the front desk agent is wearing a little bit more laid-back uniform. And as you approach the desk, the agent says, "Hello and good evening. Let me be the first to welcome you, Mr. Smith, to the luxurious and stunning Hotel Independent." Now, both scenarios seem off, and the reason for that is because the agent's voice and tone does not match the hotel, and as a result, does not match that guest's expectations, for better or for worse. Now, the problem for today's hotelier is that your hotel's voice is no longer heard for the first time in your hotel lobby. There are multiple places a hotel's voice resonates to customers before they even step foot in your hotel. This is why it is so critical to make sure your hotel's voice is clear, consistent, and matches your hotel as well as your customers' expectations. But having a clear and consistent voice can seem harder than it sounds. There's multiple things that hoteliers battle with daily that make it extremely difficult for hoteliers to do this. The first of which is multiple people responding in different voices. If you're a hotel out there and you're lucky enough to have multiple people helping respond to your online reviews, you want to make sure that they are being consistent in their messaging and tone. If not, it could create major issues and inconsistencies in your hotel's overall voice. Canned or template responses. These unfortunately represent the wrong type of consistency in the hotel industry. Copying, pasting, "Thank you for your feedback" is not an authentic hotel voice and does not fool the tech-savvy traveler of the 2020s. Be sure to avoid templates and copy-paste when responding to your online reviews. No response. The only thing worse than not having a consistent hotel voice is not using your voice at all. In 2020, it's critical for a hotel to respond to each and every one of its online reviews. Brands. Brands are rolling out new review response standards that require responses within a certain time frame and including or even excluding certain words or phrases that they should use in their responses. And lastly, employee turnover. Turnover is unfortunately an industry-wide problem, but it can be extremely problematic for a hotel trying to find consistency in its online hotel voice. So before we dive into the different types of hotel voices, I want to go ahead and launch our first poll of the presentation. So give me a second here. And this poll asks, what do you see as an issue for your hotel in creating a clear and consistent hotel voice? Is it those brand standards, employee turnover, multiple people responding with different voices? Are you not responding to your reviews? Or is it canned responses or templates? And I'll go ahead and let everyone take a second to find that so they can interact. You can click on multiple answers for this specific poll. and then I'll go ahead and share the results here. And we're going to talk about how to combat each and every one of these in the rest of the presentation, but just wanted to gauge what everyone's going through. So I'll go ahead and share the results here. So it's a pretty even amount between most of them. It looks like over half on this call right now might be experiencing some canned responses or templates. So we're going to go ahead and speak to each one of these and how your hotel's voice can kind of combat these issues that you face. So let's go ahead and dive into the 5 different hotel voices and identify some of their similarities and differences. The first hotel voice we call conversational. Now, compared to other types of hotel voices, a conversational tone could be known as a little bit more laid back, at times incorporating appropriate slang and giving them more of a playful, not so serious mood. A conversational voice is great for hotels that are trying to give more of a human touch and feel to their voice, but it can be difficult when negative situations arrive. A professional hotel voice is much more buttoned up and proper than conversational. The verbiage used is more select and calculated than the other hotel voices. So this may take a little bit longer to draft these types of responses and messaging. But a professional hotel voice is great for upscale properties whose typical guest is a business traveler, but it could turn off other travelers thinking your hotel might be too fancy. Sympathetic voice. This voice is much more guest-centric than others. Your responses and messaging are empathetic and understanding from a traveler's point of view. This hotel voice is great when dealing with negative situations online, but sometimes can come off to travelers as too apologetic and could create some difficult decisions when you're trying to enforce your hotel's policies. Defensive. Defensive voice is a purely emotional and gut reaction. Instead of sympathetic and understanding, a defensive voice is accusatory and usually excuse-ridden. Hotels want to avoid this defensive tone in their hotel's voice or risk customer and revenue loss. And the last is robotic, which seems to be an issue based on the poll. This hotel voice is stemmed from templates and canned responses. Thank you for your feedback is a bot-like response that makes the property sound out of touch from your guest. Hotels should really avoid sounding robotic and adopt a more personalized human feel to their voice. Now, for the next part of today's presentation, we're going to look at 2 reviews written by real guests. We're then going to write a response using the 5 different hotel voices. And I challenge you to notice how the overall message is the exact same for each response, but by changing a few words, it reads completely different. Now, the first review example has a neutral 3-star rating, so it has some good and bad, and it reads, "The hotel is super clean. For the price, you can't beat it. I was a little concerned it might not be nice, but you can tell it has been updated. That was a great surprise. The breakfast buffet was great. Eggs, biscuits, and waffles, and it's all free. Here's the part about this hotel that makes me not want to stay here ever again. It's super loud. The walls are paper thin, so if you're planning on getting any sleep, you can forget it. Doors slamming and people stomping around at all hours of the night, you can hear it all. Trust me. If you decide to stay here, bring earplugs and plenty of pillows to muffle the sound." So let's go ahead and start in that conversational tone and hotel voice. Our review response reads, "Thank you so much for your review. We're happy to hear you enjoyed our tasty free breakfast along with our clean and updated rooms. However, we're sorry that you experienced quite a bit of noise during your stay. Had we known that some of our guests were not adhering to our quiet hours, the team would have gladly spoken up on your behalf. After all, we want our guests to enjoy their stay and get a restful night's sleep. Should your travels bring you back to the area, we hope you choose to stay with us again." Now, this conversational response includes a couple of informal phrases like tasty, free breakfast, and restful nice sleep. The response does an excellent job of showcasing the good from the review, but also acknowledging the concerns of the traveler as well. So let's take a look at a response to the exact same review, but with a more professional hotel voice. It reads, "Your valued opinion is greatly appreciated. We are pleased to hear you enjoyed our breakfast and that you were more than satisfied with the cleanliness and quality of our modern, updated rooms. We apologize to hear the noise disrupted your stay. We treat excessive noise issues extremely seriously and do everything in our power to fix them as soon as the staff is alerted. We sincerely hope you visit us again so that we may have the privilege to serve you once more." So adding a variety of descriptive words to this response, like pleased, modern, and excessive, gives the response a more professionally written feel. And including phrases like privileged to serve you once more, instead of just saying, hope you choose to stay with us again. This illustrates two completely different pictures to the traveler and future travelers that are reading this. Now let's take a look at what a response written in a sympathetic hotel voice would sound like. It reads, we appreciate you taking the time to leave us the feedback about your stay. We understand that it's this type of feedback that helps ensure the best possible stay for all of our hotel guests moving forward. We are so thrilled that you loved our breakfast. We know that a delicious hot breakfast is a great start to the day when traveling. We were also ecstatic to hear you appreciated our clean and updated rooms. We do apologize for any unwanted noise during your stay and know how frustrating that can be. With that in mind, we attempt to do whatever we can to help find a timely solution. Given the chance, we would appreciate another opportunity to welcome you back and deliver the stay you deserve. So it's very clear right off the bat that this response is incredibly guest-centric. At one point, even putting ourselves in the shoes of the traveler by saying, we know how frustrating that can be. It's a response written with a lot of feeling and understanding that makes it unique from the other hotel voices. But what if we remove all of that emotion out of the response and just write, thank you for your feedback. We hope to see you again soon. You can almost imagine the bot typing this back to you after you taking the time to give this hotel your honest feedback. It represents a major disappointment to the hotel guests that wrote this review and future travelers that are reading this response. Now let's take a look at a response written in a defensive hotel voice, which reads, thank you so much for your positive comments about your stay. We're happy you enjoyed our breakfast. In regards to the noise, we rarely get noise complaints from our hotel guests, and when we do get a noise complaint, we do everything in our power to fix the issue. You never alerted the staff that there was a noise problem. So as you can see in this response, the hotelier puts the blame back on the guest rather than apologizing or taking accountability. And in an industry defined by customer service, it's this type of hotel voice that can really cost properties, guests, and future business. But that was a neutral review. Let's take a look at a negative 1-star review where really everything in the review is negative. And it's a hotel voice in response to negative feedback, which is even more critical because travelers pay extra attention to these reviews in the decision-making process. So let's take a look at the ways we can respond in these different hotel voices. This negative review reads, the room was not clean, bathroom was dirty, the carpet had not been vacuumed, there was food on the couch, and the TV remote didn't work. On the arrival, the room was very hot and the AC unit was unplugged. Sleeping was fine, except I would hear every person on the floor open and close their doors. So let's again start with that conversational hotel voice. And the review response reads, thanks for sharing your experience. It seems we dropped the ball during your stay. From your description of the room, it's clear that we can do better. Your comments have been shared with our housekeeping staff. We know we can deliver the type of stay you are looking for, and we hope to welcome you back in the near future. So you can clearly see that conversational nature of this response with the phrase, drop the ball. But the hotel also takes responsibility by saying we need to do better, and we know we can deliver. It's this type of direct honesty that resonates with the guest and future travelers. But now it's on the hotelier to make good on that promise. So let's transition to that more professional tone and voice. This review response reads, "Thank you for sharing your honest feedback about your experience at our property. We would like to extend our sincerest apologies for the issues that you encountered during your stay. The experience that you described is not up to our property's high standards and falls short of the superior quality that our guests have come to regularly expect. We truly hope that we get the opportunity to host you again and give you the 5-star service and stay that each of our guests deserve." So with this professional hotel voice and tone in mind, we were able to incorporate the key phrases of high standards, superior quality, and even 5-star service into this review response. And although the hotel did not live up to those expectations for this guest, it's these professionally written responses which set expectations for future travelers and demonstrate that this type of experience written about and described is the exception and not the rule. Now let's take a look at a response for this negative review in a more sympathetic hotel voice. "Thank you for taking the time to leave us a review. We are sincerely sorry to hear about your experience during your stay with us. We can understand your sentiment, and we have alerted both our housekeeping and maintenance staff teams to ensure that this type of experience does not happen again. We really do hope you will give us another opportunity to make it right. Once again, we appreciate the time you took to share your valuable insights with us." So again, as a sympathetic hotel voice, we really focus on guest feeling and emotion. We can understand your sentiment. We appreciate the time you took. By using these types of phrases in your response, you're relating and deeply connecting with your guests, showing other travelers that you genuinely do care. Now, working with so many hotels and responding to hundreds of thousands of reviews, we do come across some special nuances that only impact a handful of our hotel partners. One that we commonly come across is apologies. There are some brands, management groups, and individual hotels that really don't want apologies written into their review responses. So very quickly, before we move on, I'm going to show you how in a sympathetic hotel voice, we can still create an effective, impactful review response without utilizing an apology. So in this response, we have replaced, "We are sincerely sorry to hear about your experience," with a more proactive statement responding, "Our day-to-day cleaning schedule is in place to avoid situations such as this." Now, even though there's no apology in this response, we are still sympathetic and understanding about the issues that the guest experienced. Our review response team at Travel Media Group are experts in pairing brand or hotel standards with each of our hotel's partners' unique and custom voice. So let's move on to that response written in that robotic hotel voice, which reads, "We're sorry to hear about your experience. Please reach out to us." Now, although this response does include an apology, it addresses none of the specific issues that were brought up in the review, leaving the guests that left the review unsatisfied and future travelers really without the peace of mind knowing that they're not going to have the same exact experience. And the final review is written in that defensive hotel voice, and it reads, "We take great pride in the cleanliness of our rooms. We replaced the remote for you and had the AC working in no time at all. Noise happens everywhere, and there's not a lot we can do about people entering and leaving their hotel rooms." Again, in the eyes of the traveler, this hotel voice has no accountability or sympathy. Yet in 2020, some hoteliers are still responding to guests in this manner and in this tone. So as we saw today, there are a lot of different ways to connect and communicate with our guests out there, some which are clearly better than others. But the important thing is that you are connecting with them. In 2020, travelers are looking for that personalization and voice to come across in your website, your social media, review responses, and then transition to the experience that they have at your property. A hotel's voice is now as big of a factor in a traveler's booking decision as a hotel's rate and online reputation factors in. At Travel Media Group, as leaders in hotel digital marketing, we understand how important a hotel's voice is. Our Respond and Resolve solution solves for all the things that impacts a hotel's voice, like brand standards, employee turnover, and does not include any templates or canned responses. Every hotel partner that we onboard, we consult with to really figure out and create their unique and custom hotel voice. We uncover property information and policies so that we can become an extension of you at your hotel. We even ask the finer details, like how you would like for us to begin and conclude each of your review responses online, all completed by a real-life, highly vetted professional review response writer. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead, before I share my information, launch our final poll of the presentation, asking if anyone on this call would like to have a review response consultation with one of our hospitality solutions advisors. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this last poll here. If you go ahead and answer that. I saw that there were a couple of you that ended up coming a little bit later in the presentation. If you were looking for a copy of this to have notes, we will be sending out a recording of this presentation. You can find all of our educational webinars on our YouTube page as well at travelmediagroup.com. I'll give everyone just a couple more seconds to go ahead and find that poll and interact with that. And then I'll go ahead and move on to my contact information in case you wanted to reach out to me specifically. Okay, go ahead and give everyone, perfect. So as promised, here is my direct line, phone number, and email address. Please feel free to reach out to me if you had any questions about today's content that we shared. We're going to be continuing our 2020 educational series. We're really excited about this one next month. It's called New Hotels on the Block, How to Thrive in a New Build Market. So if you're competing against new hotels and we're looking at some ways to get a competitive edge, please sign up, travelmediagroup.com/webinars. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn for more educational insights. Would love to connect with you. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join me on this webinar today and hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. If you answered yes to that poll, we will be reaching out to you shortly.